Have you ever wondered what lies behind that luxurious crocodile leather handbag, or the perfectly grilled eel served at your favorite Japanese restaurant? Beneath the surface of fashion runways and high-end menus is a world few ever see. One filled with precision farming, ethical dilemmas, and billion-dollar industries fueled by two unlikely animals: crocodiles and eels. In China, millions of these animals are raised each year in tightly controlled farms, not just for food, but for their value in global markets. Crocodiles, long seen as ancient predators, are now part of an intricate farming system where their meat and skin are harvested for massive profit. In fact, crocodile farming alone contributes up to $9 billion annually to the economy. At the same time, eel farming has exploded to meet rising culinary demand, especially in East Asia. Known for their nutritional benefits and rich flavor, eels are farmed with sophisticated technology that mimics nature, right down to their breeding cycles and diets. But that's just one side of the story. What happens inside these farms? How are these creatures bred, raised, and processed on such a massive scale? And what are the hidden costs to the environment, to animal welfare, and to us as consumers? In today's video, we're diving deep into the world of crocodile and eel farming in China. We'll uncover the science behind the breeding, the controversy surrounding animal rights, and the surprising innovations shaping the future of exotic animal agriculture. Crocodile farming in China is not just a niche operation. It's a booming industrial enterprise that combines ancient biology with cutting-edge commercial practices. The origins of this practice go back several decades, when China began seeking new ways to meet growing global demand for exotic animal products. With the international fashion industry hungry for crocodile leather and upscale restaurants adding crocodile meat to their menus, the government and private investors saw opportunity in domestication. What began as a small-scale effort to harvest crocodiles for local markets has since grown into a tightly regulated system capable of generating an estimated $9 billion annually. At the heart of every farm are the eggs, small, fragile, but economically potent. The breeding process starts with controlled nesting environments. Farmers carefully prepare these areas with thick layers of soft sand, replicating the conditions female crocodiles would naturally seek out. These artificial nests are then monitored closely. Once eggs are laid, they are collected and moved to hatcheries where technology takes over. Inside these hatchery facilities, the eggs are kept at temperatures between 29 and 34 degrees Celsius, with humidity carefully managed by automated systems. This precision matters. Slight deviations can lead to deformations, death, or significantly reduced yield. From incubation to hatching, the process typically takes around 65 to 90 days. It's a waiting game, but a profitable one. Once hatched, the baby crocodiles, just a few inches long, are moved to rearing tanks. These tanks are designed to maintain optimal hygiene and spacing. Overcrowding is avoided, and water quality is rigorously controlled to reduce disease and ensure healthy growth. The young crocs are constantly monitored, fed on a regulated schedule, and sorted by size to minimize aggression and cannibalism. It's a high-efficiency system, less about the wild instincts of predators and more about livestock management at scale. As they grow, the path of each crocodile depends on market demand. Some are sold to other farms for breeding purposes, especially if they show desirable genetic traits or growth patterns. Others, particularly adults that have reached optimal size, are sent to specialized processing facilities. These are no ordinary slaughterhouses. Processing crocodiles is a highly technical operation that involves both ethical and economic considerations. Workers use sharp precision tools and machinery to remove the hides and section the meat. The cuts are specific: tail, back, and legs, each valued differently based on tenderness, fat content, and texture. Crocodile meat is lean, high in protein, and often marketed as a luxury health food, especially in parts of Asia. But the real money lies in the skin. Crocodile leather is one of the most sought-after materials in the world of high fashion. Major luxury brands, think handbags, belts, and shoes, compete fiercely for flawless hides. A single top-grade crocodile skin can be worth anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s, depending on its size, scale, symmetry, and condition. To meet the exacting standards of global fashion houses, farms invest heavily in minimizing scarring, improving skin elasticity, and streamlining post-harvest treatment. It's not just biology anymore, it's product engineering. There's also a fascinating detail many consumers overlook: the difference between crocodile and alligator leather. Though similar in appearance, connoisseurs and designers note key distinctions. Crocodile skin typically features smaller, more uniform scales and tiny pores known as follicle pits at the center of each scale. It also tends to have a glossier finish when processed. Alligator leather, while softer and slightly more flexible, is often considered less premium due to its larger scale size and less consistent pattern. From a marketing perspective, crocodile leather carries greater prestige and commands higher prices, especially when it's labeled as genuine Nile or saltwater crocodile, which are known for their beauty and durability. Crocodile farming may be highly profitable, but it's also one of the most controversial forms of animal agriculture in the world. At the core of the debate lies a simple but powerful question: are we sacrificing ethics in the pursuit of luxury? One of the most urgent concerns raised by conservationists is the potential overexploitation of wild crocodile populations. While many farms rely on captive breeding, some continue to harvest wild eggs or even adult crocodiles to maintain genetic diversity or respond to spikes in demand. In regions where wild populations are already fragile, this practice poses a serious ecological risk. Crocodiles as apex predators play a crucial role in maintaining the balance of wetland ecosystems. Removing them from their natural habitats not only threatens the species themselves, but can also trigger cascading effects throughout the food chain. The challenge becomes even more complicated when we look at the legal landscape. International regulations like those under CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, attempt to monitor and control the movement of crocodile products across borders. But enforcement is uneven. Some countries have strict licensing systems and transparent quotas, while others lack the infrastructure to monitor compliance effectively. This creates loopholes that can be exploited by illegal traders or unscrupulous farms operating under minimal oversight. Alongside conservation worries are the growing criticisms over animal welfare. Animal rights organizations have repeatedly condemned the methods used in crocodile farming, pointing to cramped tanks, unsanitary living conditions, and violent slaughter techniques. Footage from undercover investigations has shown crocodiles being electrocuted, clubbed, or even skinned alive, practices that have sparked global outrage. These images are difficult to ignore. They've fueled campaigns calling for bans on exotic leather products and prompted some fashion brands to reconsider their sourcing. The ethical debate is fierce. On one side are industry defenders who argue that farming reduces pressure on wild populations and provides employment for thousands. On the other side are activists and concerned consumers who question whether designer handbags or exotic dishes are ever worth the suffering inflicted. Can cruelty be justified in the name of luxury? In response to mounting pressure, parts of the industry have started to shift. Some modern farms are implementing more humane practices, including improved enclosures that allow for greater mobility and cleaner environments. Advances in stunning techniques have also made it possible to euthanize animals more quickly and with less pain, although such practices are still far from universal. Another development is traceability. To meet ethical and environmental standards, certain suppliers now offer tagged skins that can be traced from farm to fashion house. These tags, along with detailed supply chain audits, help ensure that products are sourced from licensed farms complying with international guidelines. For luxury brands trying to maintain a socially responsible image, this level of transparency is becoming not just desirable, but necessary. At the same time, alternatives to traditional crocodile leather are gaining traction. Faux leather, made from polyurethane or recycled plastics, has improved dramatically in look and feel. Some companies are also exploring lab-grown leather, bioengineered from animal cells without the need to kill a single creature. While these technologies aren't yet mainstream, they represent a vision of fashion where beauty doesn't come at the cost of life. In East Asia, few dishes hold as much cultural and culinary prestige as grilled eel. Known as unagi kabayaki in Japan, it's a dish celebrated not just for its rich, savory flavor, but also for its supposed health benefits, especially during the hot summer months when stamina and strength are prized. In Korea, too, eel is considered a delicacy, often associated with vitality and luxurious dining. But behind this growing demand lies a pressing ecological dilemma. The wild eel population is collapsing. Decades of overfishing, pollution, and habitat destruction have severely depleted natural eel stocks, particularly the Japanese eel species. In response, the industry has turned to aquaculture. Today, eel farming has become the only viable way to sustain global consumption, with China leading the charge in technological adaptation and mass-scale production. Breeding eels in captivity, however, is no easy feat. Unlike other farmed fish, eels don't reproduce naturally in artificial environments. To solve this, scientists have developed methods to stimulate reproduction through precise manipulation of light, temperature, and hormone levels. The fertilized eggs are then carefully monitored as they develop into larvae and eventually into juvenile eels. Once the young eels reach a certain size, they're transferred into specially designed tanks where conditions are tightly controlled. These rearing tanks simulate aspects of the eel's natural environment, offering a combination of clean water, appropriate salinity, and temperature consistency. Every stage of their development is engineered for growth and survival. Feeding these eels requires a fine balance of nutrition and management. Farmers use a specialized blend of fish meal, soybean meal, wheat, and fish oil, designed to meet the eel's dietary needs and promote healthy weight gain. Eels are fed 3 times a day, but feeding isn't as simple as dumping food into the water. The amount must be adjusted based on the size and age of each batch. If overfed, waste accumulates and fouls the water. If underfed, the eels may turn to cannibalism, a major risk in intensive farming environments. To minimize these risks, farms implement a regular sorting schedule. Every 6 weeks, the eels are separated by size and redistributed into new tanks to reduce competition. This sorting not only helps prevent losses due to cannibalism, but also improves growth rates across the board by giving each group more space and equal access to food. Maintaining such delicate balance wouldn't be possible without serious infrastructure. Eel farms rely on complex water filtration systems to remove waste and keep tanks clean. Oxygen levels must be continuously regulated through pumps and aeration devices, especially as the eels grow larger and consume more resources. Transferring eels from one tank to another also requires speed and precision, usually done using suction pumps that reduce stress and injury. These systems come at a high cost, both financially and in terms of skilled labor. But without them, the entire operation risks collapse. In many ways, eel farming represents a unique frontier in aquaculture, one that demands more customization and intervention than species like salmon or tilapia. Salmon farming, for instance, often takes place in ocean pens, relying more heavily on natural tidal flows and cooler climates. Tilapia, by contrast, are highly resilient and can thrive in less controlled conditions, making them easier and cheaper to produce. Eels, however, fall somewhere between more delicate than tilapia, but more valuable per kilogram than either. When measured by efficiency, eel farming may seem costly and complex, but when you factor in its market value, it becomes a lucrative endeavor. A single farmed eel can command a premium price, especially during seasonal peaks like Japan's Midsummer Day of the Ox, when demand for unagi skyrockets. Harvesting eels is a process that demands patience, precision, and a bit of strategy. When the time comes, farmers begin by draining the tanks, gradually lowering the water level until the eels become more accessible. But even without the water, catching them isn't easy. Eels are slippery, fast, and extremely agile. Specialized nets and handling tools are used to scoop them up without causing injury. Every motion must be careful and deliberate, not only to protect the eels' bodies, but to maintain the quality of the final product. Once removed from the tanks, the eels are sorted by hand. Workers divide them based on size, weight, and visible signs of health or injury. This manual step ensures consistency in the batches sent to processing, especially since eels intended for grilling need to meet certain size thresholds for texture and flavor to be ideal. Before anything else happens, the eels go through a cold water rinse. This step helps remove mud and surface impurities while also calming the eels, reducing stress before the next phase. Lowering their body temperature has a sedative effect, which not only makes handling safer, but also helps preserve the firmness and freshness of the flesh. The next stage is evisceration. Using a swift incision along the belly, processors remove the internal organs. This is usually done with practiced efficiency along a production line. From there, the cleaned eels are placed on a conveyor system designed specifically for kabayaki preparation. This automated grilling line ensures that each eel is cooked evenly on both sides, passing through multiple stages of heat. But grilling alone doesn't define the dish. What makes unagi kabayaki truly special is the sauce. Kabayaki sauce is a thick, sweet, soy-based marinade that gets absorbed deep into the eel's flesh. The marination process can take hours, and in some facilities, the eels are grilled once, dipped in sauce, and grilled again multiple times to build layers of flavor. This technique gives the eel its signature glossy finish and rich smoky sweetness that so many people love. Once cooked, the eels are vacuum sealed while still warm to lock in moisture and flavor. They're then stored in cold storage at carefully maintained temperatures to keep them fresh during transport. From there, they're distributed across an intricate supply chain, shipped to restaurants, supermarkets, and specialty retailers not only in Asia but around the world. In Japan, they often end up in bento boxes, served over rice. In the West, you're more likely to see grilled eel appear in sushi rolls or as part of fusion cuisine. Eel's appeal goes beyond taste. It's considered a nutritional powerhouse, packed with high-quality protein and omega-3 fatty acids that support heart and brain health. In traditional medicine and popular belief, eel is also known to boost stamina and sexual vitality, which is part of why it's eaten during summer festivals in Japan to combat fatigue and heat exhaustion. There's also cultural weight behind the dish. Eating unagi on the Day of the Ox in midsummer is a deeply rooted Japanese tradition. It's a ritual meal, believed to restore energy and promote longevity. Eel dishes often appear at celebratory meals and are served with reverence, both for their flavor and their symbolism. What's even more interesting is how this cultural tradition is now expanding beyond its origins. As global interest in Japanese cuisine grows, so too does the demand for eel. In the United States and Europe, sushi restaurants have helped turn unagi into a familiar name, while chefs in cities like New York, Paris, and London are experimenting with eel in creative ways, grilled, glazed, or even reimagined in Western-style dishes. Farming exotic animals like crocodiles and eels may look like a modern success story, but behind the growth lies a set of challenges that could shape or even shake the future of the industry. One of the biggest concerns is sustainability. These farms consume massive amounts of water, and managing waste from thousands of animals in tightly packed tanks is no easy task. Without proper filtration and disposal systems, pollution becomes a serious threat, not only to nearby ecosystems but to public health. And with rising global temperatures, farms that rely on stable heat and humidity for breeding are increasingly vulnerable. For species like crocodiles and eels, even a small shift in climate can affect fertility rates, hatching success, and survival. At the same time, regulatory pressure is mounting. International frameworks like CITES are tightening the reins on exotic leather trade, demanding clearer documentation, verified sourcing, and stricter oversight. Consumers are also demanding more transparency, pushing companies toward better animal welfare, traceable origins, and honest labeling. Farms that can't adapt may find themselves locked out of the very markets they helped create. But innovation is stepping in to meet these challenges. Smart farming technologies are being introduced, from AI systems that monitor temperature and humidity to robotics that automate feeding and sorting. These tools don't just improve efficiency, they reduce the need for labor, minimize human error, and create healthier environments for the animals. Looking further ahead, there's one wildcard that could redefine the industry entirely: lab-grown alternatives. Scientists are already experimenting with cultured crocodile meat and bioengineered leather that doesn't involve killing any animals. While still in early stages, these breakthroughs could one day offer a cleaner, cruelty-free option, disrupting the traditional model of exotic animal farming and forcing the industry to evolve or be left behind. From the carefully regulated hatcheries where crocodile eggs are warmed under artificial sand to the slippery, fast-moving tanks where eels grow into delicacies, we've traveled deep into a world few consumers ever see. It's a world engineered with precision, where ancient creatures are raised, harvested, and transformed into luxury handbags or plated dishes in high-end restaurants. But behind the glossy finish of crocodile leather and the savory glaze of grilled eel lies a reality filled with tension. These industries provide jobs, drive innovation, and feed global demand. They showcase remarkable scientific progress and logistical mastery. Yet at the same time, they raise serious questions about conservation, about ethics, and about the environmental cost of convenience and luxury. There's no easy answer. Crocodile farms may ease pressure on wild populations, but they also contribute to pollution and raise alarms about humane treatment. Eel farming fills a market gap left by vanishing wild stocks, but at a high technological and ecological cost. Every steak of meat and every strip of leather represents a long, complex process, one that often remains invisible until we choose to look closer. So as consumers, how often do we ask ourselves what it really takes to bring these products into our lives? Do we weigh the labor, the ethics, the environmental toll? Or do we simply enjoy the result, detached from the process? In the end, markets respond to demand, and demand is shaped by informed choices. The more we understand what happens behind the scenes, the more power we have to push industries toward transparency, responsibility, and balance. Would you still buy crocodile leather? Would you still order grilled eel? Let us know what you think. Your awareness might just be the first step toward changing how these stories unfold.